all that I've ever known, all that I've ever seen, all that I've ever felt has been hate. In the place of smiles, I've seen faces of disgust, anger, and at best, apathy. For as long as I can remember, I've been a lonely outcast. The closest thing I've had to friends have been the common street thieves just like me. But don't get me wrong, a thief is still a thief, and I was no different. The idea of trust was beyond any of us. If we so much as turned our heads for a second, we would be stabbed in the back. The only people we liked less than ourselves were the religious leaders because of their smug disapproval, and the Roman soldiers because they treated us like dogs. How I hated them. I hated their power, their arrogance, their privilege, their faces. We'd often throw rocks at them and then get lost in the crowd. Hurting them only temporarily satisfied our hatred of them, but it would not feed our bellies. That's where the thievery came in. We stole money, goods, food. Hey, it was our livelihood. That is until one day, when I was literally sold out to the Romans by a treacherous thief for a small price. I was completely set up and betrayed, and I got the beating of my life that afternoon. When I awoke 2 days later, I was shackled to the floor of this filthy prison, and it was 2 more days before I got anything to eat. What they gave me were scraps dogs had left behind. Never had slimy filth tasted so good, and all I could think of was how bad I wanted to get that snake that stabbed me in the back. That, and how much more I hated the Romans now than before prison. I wanted to die. A week later, my situation improved. The most infamous criminal in all Jerusalem, a man so loathed and wretched he was disowned by his own parents. The same treacherous thief that had betrayed me, Barabbas, was arrested. I wanted to strangle him. When the guards learned that we knew each other, they chained us together for their own amusement. But they always kept me from really doing him harm. And so I waited, biding my time day after day, night after night, waiting to take my revenge. About a month later, word found its way into the dungeon that Jesus was in town. Jesus. I heard the man speak once. He spoke of many things, including love. Love! How could love possibly exist? The only thing ever shown to me was hate. Love only existed in my dreams, and sometimes not even there. Anyway, what would the Son of God do with me if the Romans beat me and the religious leaders wouldn't even touch me? I didn't dare want to know. All I knew is that love was a lie. Love was a lie. But what did it matter now? I was scheduled to be crucified by the week's end and end this life of hate and pain. The only consolation that I had was that at least Barabbas would be dead too. That last night I was so torn. I wasn't afraid of what was to come, but I thought of how insignificant and meaningless my life had been. I was so bitter and full of hate. I desperately wanted to be something different, but what could I do now? I'd lived a life of hate, and I would die a death of hate. I decided then and there that in the morning when the guards came in, I would kill Barabbas and take my revenge. And if I was killed in the attempt, all the better. I would escape the cross. And so with those thoughts, I closed my eyes, and my hate-filled heart almost had the first peaceful night of sleep in ages. In the morning when the guards came in, I spit in their face. I knew what they would do next, and I didn't care. One punched me in the stomach so hard that I spit up blood, but I made certain that it landed on his legs. He backhanded my face and knocked out 2 teeth as a result of the blow. I was crumpled on the ground when 2 other guards came in and unlocked Barabbas. "Get out of here," one of them said. "What?" "You've been set free by Pilate. The man Jesus is dying in your place. Now out of here." What was going on? Was Barabbas being set free? Anger and hatred swelled up in me like 1,000 bee stings. Why was Barabbas being set free? Why wasn't it me? We were ordered to carry our cross through a procession as we were spit on, jeered at, pelted with rocks, and splattered with buckets of human waste coming from the mob. Their hatred was nothing new to me. I had known it my entire life. They were just making sport of it now. When we got to that horrible hill, I collapsed to the ground. But immediately I was stretched out over that splintery piece of wood. Struggling to free myself, I felt the blunt end of a cold metallic spike pressing hard into my right wrist. I squeezed my eyes shut as I saw that hammer raised in the air. Each jolt felt like lightning as my body shuddered with each hit. And then the Romans did the same to my other arm and to my feet with artistic cruelty. And then they raised my cross. And suddenly, my entire weight was being supported by these 3 nails. But the real pain was all the effort it took to take just a simple breath of air. Each gasp of air was filled with the pain that was all too familiar with the rest of my life. And then they nailed Jesus down. Why bother crucifying him? He would eventually die from the flogging he'd received. But as they were hammering his hands and feet, he said the most puzzling thing I'd ever heard. Father, forgive them. Forgive them, Father. They don't know. They don't know what they're doing. Forgive them, Father. What did he mean by that? Was it love? But even in all this torment and agony, the crowd continued to taunt us, hurling insults at me right and left. I hated these people. Why wasn't Barabbas here? He was 30 times more deserving of this than I was. But they mocked Jesus even more than myself, smirking. Look at him. He says he can save others, but he can't even save himself. Jesus gave them a look that was the most strange and bewildering I'd ever seen. He was showing them sorrow, and his sorrow wasn't for himself, but for his scoffers. He was showing them something I'd never seen before, even on this horrible cross. Love. It was love. With nails in his wrist, he was showing love. How incredible. The thief on the other side joined in. Hey, Christ, aren't you the Christ? Come on, save yourself and take us with you. I drew a deep breath and asked, don't you fear God since we are under the same sentence as his son? We are getting what our evil deeds deserve, but this man has done nothing wrong. Until that moment, all I could think of on that cross was my envy and my hatred of Barabbas. Why was Jesus dying for him? Why wasn't he dying for me? And then it hit me that was the very thing he was doing. Dying for me, forgiving me, loving me. I drew a deep breath and asked the dying Son of the most holy God, Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. He looked at me with watery eyes and gasped, I tell you the truth today, you will be with me in paradise. Immediately, all the years of anger, all the lonely nights, the entire lifetime of burning hate was gone, put out by an ocean of love and the tears falling down his face. The cross and the pain were the furthest thing from my mind. The God of all eternity loved me. Even though I was dying, for the first time I was alive. And the love in my Savior's face told me that I would never have to know hate again.